What's going on, everyone? So you all, as much as I do, love a good space deck, and I've got double red Luke for you here today. We're gonna be reloading up some space units, damaging our opponent's units, and hopefully dominating the early game, and then eventually finishing it out with all space gameplay. I'm pretty excited about this. Big thank you to my patrons over on Patreon. I was speaking to one of you yesterday, and mentioned Boba Fett Red from set 4, and I was debating between that one or this one, but I've been dominated by double red Luke a couple times, so I figured that we'd dive into this one today. What are we doing? Well, Luke, action. If you attack with a fighter, you can deal 1 damage to a unit. Pretty straightforward. We got a couple of units that just, well, in fact, all of our units in the early game, all are fighters. But we're really going to utilize this 1 damage as much as we possibly can. Things like indirect damage obviously do really well. Red 5 is the key card for Luke. I'm even adding Hyena Bomber, which is a brand new one from set 5, I believe. This is Legend of the Force. But if you control another aggression unit, you can deal 2 damage to a ground unit. That's going to really pair well with his 1 damage from the action. Hopefully, it's going to knock out some units. We're just going to be getting aggressive in the earlier stages of the game. Got a lot of value cards like Disabling Fangfighter knockout upgrades. Got a lot of removal, actually. Daring Raid and Open Fire can help finish out some damage that we're dealing with Luke. Aggression, of course. Chaos of War to get in that direct damage after maybe they put up a Sentinel in space, or maybe they just drew a bunch of cards. In terms of late game, we got Tactical Heavy Bomber and Rebellious Hammerhead. Tactical Heavy Bomber is really nice when you put a Luke Skywalker onto it, because then it becomes a 4-10 or a 7-10, which means that you're dealing 7 indirect damage on attack, which is kind of obnoxious. So between all of that, we're going to hope to get some wins here. The only ground unit we're playing is Cassian, as per usual, because we got some smuggle shenanigans coming in the late game, in theory. But that's going to be Red Luke, and we're going to see if we can win some games. Let's dive into it. Alrighty, into game number 1, and I'm actually going to keep this hand. It might sound a little awkward, but Kit Fisto is a very aggressive deck. And so what I can do on turn 1 is Crackshot, V-Wing, plus Daring Raid, Tarkentown, then Hyena Bomber, deal 2 more damage, and use the Luke action to hopefully finish off something else. I'm a little bit worried about just being super ran down if my opponent's got a lot of Jedi to play and kind of curve out, because we got 25 HP base here. And they got a Jedi Concert, which, like I said, this kind of game plan is going to actually work fantastically. Knock out that, we will pass, and then another Crackshot V-Wing, which we'll just resource here. I'm just going to drop the Hyena Bomber here in to my opponent's face. Let's go with the Crackshot V-Wing, and we will go ahead and deal 1 damage to my opponent's unit here. And then we're actually gonna go with the Y-Wing as a follow-up. Red 5 looks pretty good here. I'm not gonna play the Hyena Bomber, because although I could deal 2 damage to the Obi-Wan, and he could just attack and finish off the Hyena Bomber, and that feels pretty rough for us. So yeah, not super excited about that. Red 5 looks great, though. I would very much like to get down Red 5. We got General's Blade coming in. Wow, okay, that is pretty aggressive. Let's go in and get some indirect damage in, and let's see how my opponent decides to divvy this up, because they're just gonna take all the damage. Wow, I'm a little bit surprised on that. All right, we're gonna get in for 2. I mean, I think that's fine for them. They're in a spot with General's Blade where, I mean, General's Blade could absolutely take over the game here. I wouldn't be surprised to see just that. Let's go with 1 damage over to Adi Gallia. That's gonna be the more likely one for us to be able to finish off, so that's why I'm gonna go deal the damage over there. They're gonna be able to Kit Fisto action. So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty in trouble here. I'm not gonna lie. The General's Blade is something that's very scary, and normally if we had like an aggression here, it would have been so disgusting. Like if they go General's Blade up against the aggression deck, I mean, sometimes, you know, your opponent just does that and they win, and other times we play aggression and we deal 4 and General's Blade and it's like game over, you know. So it really just kind of depends on the situation. But yeah, this game probably over. I don't really see us doing a whole lot to get out of this situation. My opponent's just gonna have way too much value across the game here. We're gonna attack in, finish off the Adi Gallia. They're gonna be able to deploy Kit Fisto. They're gonna be able to do whatever they really want here, which kind of stinks. We'll see if they use the Kit Fisto action, but like I said, the game plan from them is very solid, no doubt about it. They're going to play Kit Fisto. We'll deploy Black 1. I mean, they're just going to attack anyways, so may as well just, get another deploy out there. They're going to attack it for 4. They've got 2 hits and it's GG. So do we got to have something good? And we drew no events this entire game. And that means that what can we do? Nothing really. I mean, the game is over, right? We can attack him with red 5 and they're going to be able to run us down. Like I said, we were worried about the early game options that my opponent might have. And wait, why can't I concede? There we go. And we needed to take control of the game, but we just didn't draw any open fires or aggressions to kind of keep that pace up. And General's Blade was the key. They just were able to absolutely utilize all the resources and use the Kit Fisto action, which is exactly what they really needed to do. So good stuff from my opponent. Into the next matchup, we got Boba for green. Definitely a little bit of a worrisome one. And I was going to say this is going to be dependent a little bit on initiative. And unfortunately, we have lost the die roll. So let's go ahead and get rid of the tactical heavy. Actually, I think this might be a matchup where the heavy bomber does do some good work. So I'm going to go ahead and keep it. A-Wing is a little bit scary because they could have like mercenary gunship. Now, the nice thing about mercenary gunship is that at least who knows what they could have. Oh, yeah, silencer. Oh, this is what I'm saying with initiative, guys. It's so bad for us. It's so bad. Man, does that stink. Yeah, not a whole lot that we can do about that, realistically. I mean, Hyena Bomber is going to be pretty bad anyways. Yeah, this stinks. Really does stink. Yeah, they're going to knock out our A-Wing. They're going to do some stuff. We'll see what they do afterwards. I don't know. Oh. They're hitting base. Okay. Let's go with another A-Wing. Very surprised that they decided not to knock out my A-Wing. I take it all back. Yeah, I mean, Hyena Bomber looks good now, but we'll see what happens. I was getting a little deflated there, but we'll see. Let's take 1 damage on our A-Wing, and then we'll take another one on our other A-Wing. Definitely need to avoid some damage here. My opponent can pump damage really fast. Really fast. A little bit scary, actually. So if we can avoid that, I'd be very happy. Okay, if that's Fire Spray, we'll take 1 and 1. And then I think what we will do is just deal 1 to the Stormtrooper. We'll take 1 to the base, and then we are probably just going to aggression away the... That's Fire Spray, ready up the A-Wing. So we'll go deal 4, ready, and then we'll attack in for some more damage. Pass. I think if my opponent had just gone with the kill on the A-Wing, this game would have been really tough for us. Really tough for us. They did not have a great turn 2. It was just the first Legion, first order Stormtrooper. But I don't think we're out of the clear yet. I mean, my opponent could have like Ruthless Raider here on 6, knock on an A-Wing, hit 2 to base. They could have another Fet's Fire Spray, which is really good. Regardless, they've a Disabling Fang Fighter, which is really not scary at all. Let's just get in for 3. They're going to claim initiative. All right. I mean, we'll deal. I'm going to play the Tactical Heavy Bomber and pass. I know my opponent could just, deploy Boba and go 1-1 and some damage, but that's fine. Not really worried about that at all. Because if they do that, I'm just going to play Disabling Fang Fighter and knock out the upgrade, and then I'll go red 5. And then if my opponent... Overrolling Barrage. Sure. Oh. That's what they decided to do? Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit scary to have that in the game. So, yeah, makes sense. We're just going to knock out their units. They can deploy Boba Fett to the ground and attack us for 4. But I was really worried about, I was expecting them to deploy as a pilot. Let's go ahead and just deal 2 to their units. And then, I mean, I could even deploy Luke onto the A-Wing and just start getting in some damage. I think that's what I'm going to do. Let's just deal, and then I will put this as a pilot over here. Attack, we'll deal 3. I think that's totally reasonable. Sabine's Masterpiece probably not going to do anything for us. The Trench Run looks pretty good here. I mean, I believe we have a Cassian. Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought we had a Cassian in there. But yeah, I mean, my opponent's... Yeah, Overwhelming Barrage is kind of what I was expecting. Honestly, that's exactly what I was expecting. So Open Fire comes in. We just knock out the Boba Fett. So they can't hit us for any damage. And then, I mean, they got 2 resources. What can they do? They're going to claim initiative. So we just hit for 2, hit for 3. We play a Disabling Fang Fighter pass. Keep all of our cards. Don't really need to do anything fancy. They don't have immediately readied up damage. They had double Overwhelming Barrage this game, too. Kind of crazy. Palp, huh? Wow, they had a lot of board wipe effects. OB, Palp, Boba. I mean, that is pretty crazy, but they cannot get out of this. I guess they can go 4-2 and then leave with a Hyena Bomber. It doesn't really matter. We'll take 1 to the Hyena Bomber, get in for 2, and then we'll just, flip the Cassian. It's GG. It is GG. We'll Daring Raid them for fun. GG. Alrighty, into the next game up against another Boba Fett 4, but this one with Command Center. Horrible hand, by the way. We need a 2-resource play. We've got a lot of them in the deck as well. Okay, this is much better. Much better. I'm going to go Hyena Bomber and V-Wing as the resources. I like Open Fire, I like Aggression. We have Initiative, which means A-Wing's a lot more strong here. They got the First Order Stormtrooper, which is going to put a lot of pressure on. We got Hyena Bomber. I am... Part of me really just wants to drop in the Hyena Bomber, but I do think Red 5 is going to be pretty powerful here. So I think I will just knock out the First Order Stormtrooper and see what my opponent decides to do here afterwards. They pass. All right, we'll just go Red 5. I'm actually totally fine with that. Oh yeah, they got Open Fire. I was like, yeah, they might have a removal, but that's fine. Okay, Hyena Bomber, Trench Run. I mean, Trench Run looks pretty bad here. Yeah, let's just get in for 3. I would have preferred to have more space units resupplying, huh? All right, we're going to play Hyena Bomber. Wow, very strange situation I have found myself in here in this game. All right, let's get rid of one of these Open Fires. I mean, my opponent could deploy Ruthless Raider, and then we're kind of in trouble. Right, that's how the game goes. Ruthless Raider kind of stinks. Dornian Gunship also kind of stinks. Yeah, let's just go 3 to 1 to the base. We'll take 1 to the base here. What do I want to do here? I suppose I'll hit the Dornian Gunship. They're gonna deploy Boba onto this most likely. Oh, they're not. Interesting. I am a little bit surprised again. Let's see what they decide to do here. I'm gonna attack in for 3 to the base. I'm gonna pass. Let's deal 1 to their unit. Take 1 to the base. Are they going to deploy Boba? They do deploy Boba. All right. That makes our job pretty easy. I can go Open Fire, Daring Raid, Tarkin Town, or just Aggression. I think I'm just going to go Aggression. I'm happy with this situation. Let's pass. Another Daring Raid, a Rebellious Hammerhead. All right, let's get rid of 1 of the Daring Raids here. Rebellious Hammerhead does hit for 3, and then we do have Tarkin Town still available. All right, do they have Open Fire? I mean, I'm just going to play Rebellious Hammerhead. All right, it's a 5/7. Ruthless Raider, sure. We'll take 1 to the base. I'm just going to as a pilot. Let's pass. Chaos of War could be pretty good. Anakin's Interceptor could be pretty good. I mean, what am I realistically playing? Sabine's Masterpiece, Interceptor, Daring Raid. I'm going to keep all the cards in my hand, I think. 12 indirect damage. That kind of stinks, huh? Let's see if we take 2. We're at a 4. Yeah, I think that's, well, no, hold on. Take 4. And then, okay. I think that should be good. Yeah, not a great play for us. Chaos of War looking pretty bad here. We're gonna get cards out of our hand if that's the case. Yeah, we'll see what they got. Oh, they got another Ruthless Raider. Wow, what a card, man. That's so brutal, actually. Super brutal, honestly. Okay, so we have open fire. I mean, ugh. Wow, they double Ruthless Raider. I mean, it is crazy what they've got here. Okay, so how do I deal with this? So we got open fire Tarkin Town, we trade, and then I mean Chaos of War does nothing. Chaos of War looks super stinky here. Let's go with, yeah, let's just trade here. Open fire, Tarkin Town. Wow, double Ruthless Raider. I mean, they can have Devastators too. This is tough. This is tough. Planetary Bombardment looked really, really good in here in this situation. A tactical heavy bomber. I mean, Chaos of War literally can't be played. Any damage is good. If oh, they have another Planetary Bombardment. We'll just take it all. Good game, good game, good game. Well done, well done. They just had they had the curve out there with the Darnian gunship and the double Ruthless Raider. Too much direct damage was too much. 25 HP was too little amount of HP for us to deal with. If they didn't have that second Ruthless Raider, I think we would have been in reasonable shape. Problem is that they were able to deal 2 damage to their base, and you know they dealt essentially 4 damage to our base in top of the other Ruthless Raider, on top of the Planetary Bombardment. So that was a little bit tough, but yeah. Really, really cool stuff. I honestly, I think Boba Fett 4 is super fun to see. So cool stuff from my opponent. All right, into the next game. We got ourselves a Han 4 red with Thermal Oscillator. Thinking back on the previous game, the other option I had was to deploy Luke as a ground unit. I was thinking about that, but I was like, well, they're going to probably have another space unit. I kind of can't afford them to have space unit if they have like a Ruthless Raider, or I can attack base and then deal 3 to something. Yeah, it's kind of what I was thinking, and they had Ruthless Raider on the board. So, but anyways, not super important. Do I want to keep this hand? I think I will. I think I'll resource these 2. Aggression looks good in this matchup. I like the ability to most likely keep a fighter on board. So we're going to go turn 1 A-Wing, turn 2 Interceptor plus V-Wing. They got C-3PO. Sure, they're going to draw a card. They hit Jam Communications. All right, they're going to be able to take our aggression. So I'm just going to resource it. No reason to just like sit here with aggression in hand. They got Jam Communications. We'll just get rid of it. Ooh, Millennium Falcon kind of stinks for us, huh? Let's go with the 1 damage onto the Millennium Falcon. Sanctioner's Shuttle reveal. Yep. You got Sanctioner's Shuttle. Let's Tarkin Town away the Millennium Falcon. And then I think we will play the Hyena Bomber just to deal 2 to the C-3PO. We got Trench Run, Disabling Fang Fighter still. I mean, I think I actually want to get rid of the Trench Run. The kind of thought process with Han is to be able to reset some resources, but if they do that, they deploy him as a pilot, which means that we do have a decent advantage in that way. I think here I'm just going to immediately knock out the TIE Fighter. Again, I don't want them to have units on board to be able to deploy into. If I can get to 6 resources without them rushing me down with a bunch of units, I am pretty happy with where I'm at. They're gonna be able to attack in. They reveal a cartel turncoat. We'll deal 1 to the C-3PO. We're just kind of whittling down units slowly but surely, and that's totally fine. If they deploy the cartel turncoat, we will knock that one out, draw a card, and ooh, it's a Sabine's Masterpiece. Great, that is the perfect. I am very happy with our spot now. Sabine's Masterpiece comes in, Crash Shot V-Wing, pass, Tactical Heavy Bomber Part 2. Probably not something that I care about because it's gonna be too expensive. I only care about the 1. So we'll just go ahead and resource that one. And then my opponent, I mean, they can't deploy Han as a pilot, which means they can't reset resources, which means I don't know how they get out of this, to be honest. They're going to reveal Millennium Falcon. Yeah, totally fine. They got Millennium Falcon coming in. We've got Sabine's Masterpiece coming in for some damage. We'll knock out C-3PO. And they can deploy Millennium Falcon. That's fine. I'm actually going to attack into the Falcon. They can deploy Han and ready up 2 resources, which isn't too crazy. But now we go disabling Fang Fighter, knock out the Han. And then we'll see what they decide to do. Disabling Fang Fighter, just, kind of knock out some value here. Okay, they're gonna get some value rolling here with the Boshek. Draw a couple of cards, and then next turn we're gonna be able to deploy the Luke here. Ooh, aggression. I'm surprised my opponent did not go with Jam Communications, by the way, when we hit the 4 resource turn. But my opponent, they can do whatever they want. All right, let's go with. They played home 1. I think we'll attack in with the Y-Wing just to see what my opponent decides to do here. Because if they deal 1 damage to their home 1, I probably will just aggression away the home 1. They did. Okay, they're going to attack. Interesting. All right, I think what I will do here is deal 1 to the Millennium Falcon. And then we will aggression, defeat, deal 4. We'll deploy him as a pilot onto the disabling Fang Fighter, attack, kill off C-3PO, and then, I mean, wow, this game looks pretty good for us, huh? Yeah, home 1 is a good card, but I mean, good card against us at least. My opponent has 1,000,000 cards in hand, but it doesn't matter. That was kind of the idea. Is you need the resource flip or the resource kind of readying with Han to really be able to utilize all those cards. Otherwise, you're just drawing 1,000,000 cards for kind of nothing. And that's GG. Not bad. Happy with that one. The Jam Communications. I'm surprised my opponent did not go with Jam Communications. I mean, maybe they played the mind game where it's like, oh, they saw Jam Communications, so they're not going to have any events. I may as well resource this, which is totally fair, to be honest, because that's what we did. So maybe they main game us. Maybe they're the geniuses here, which totally fair. Totally fair. Into the next game. We got ourselves a reasonable hand here. Rebellious Hammerhead, probably disabling Fang Fighter. Not all that strong. I do think Chaos of War is going to look really good up against this matchup. I'm a little bit worried about the legacy run. Obviously, I think deploying Luke as just a unit here is going to be what we're going to be doing, but we'll see. Black 1 on turn 1 is going to be reasonable. They got Bazine. They'll probably take out the red 5, but maybe they'll take the Chaos of War. I don't know. Bazine on turn 1, not exactly all that scary. I think if I was my opponent, I'd be taking the red 5, and that's exactly what they did. We got another black 1 here. I'm just going to get in for 2 with the black 1, and then I'm going to play a mercenary gunship, and we'll see what my opponent decides to do. Another Chaos of War actually looks pretty good here, so I'm happy about that. We will deal 1 here and pass. Got ourselves a couple of units here. Red 5 looks pretty good. If they pay 4, we'll just pay 4 back. For the mercenary gunship, that is. Pretty okay with this. Like, we're putting on pressure on my opponent here. And I'm not really worried about what they could do. Like, getting into the late game is fine, typically. I mean, they could have, like, legacy run into Chimera, which would be a little bit scary. But, I mean, okay, they're going to do it again. I'm going to do it again as well. And I'm even going to be able to play the V-Wing afterwards. This is going to look pretty nice for us. I mean, again, there's no board progression on their side of the battlefield, so we're just getting in for 1 damage each turn, which is fine. Let's go with the Y-Wing as a resource here. A-Wing's guaranteed damage. Y-Wing could kind of go everywhere depending on what they play. 6 resources. My opponent's done nothing but steal my mercenary gunship. I've never seen someone steal a mercenary gunship so many times in my life. Jeez. What do they have in hand? What do they have? This Chaos of War is just getting better and better. I mean, these deal 6 each right now. Probably they're going to deploy something here. So 5. This is 10 damage. It's crazy. They got Legacy Run. Sure. Let's just get in for 3 here. Get in for 2. Get in for 2. Play red 5. Play the A-Wing. Deploy Luke as a unit and attack it for 5. I know I feel like I'm deploying a million different things into this Legacy run, but like I said, these Chaos of Wars are going to hit for 6 each. I mean, the game is over. Even if they double trigger, right? This is 12 damage. So they attack. This is 7, 9. Yeah, they can double trigger. 9, 11. I mean, we're going to have 1 unit to be able to get in and attack with. It doesn't matter because we have the Chaos of War here. So, yeah, this is totally fine. This is kind of what I was expecting out of my opponent here. They went all on Luke too, by the way, which is intense. It's intense. Game is over. Like I said, this back and forth kind of stuff going on was totally fine. Totally fine. We'll attack it for 3. We'll play Chaos of War, and then they have to claim initiative, but we'll have another Chaos of War. GG. And I mean, like I said, that back and forth mercenary gunship game plan, when we have double Chaos of War, it was pretty much exactly what I wanted to see. What I was worried about is an earlier Legacy run, which would prevent us from kind of deploying more to the board. And that could have caused some problems, because then we would have just deployed Luke into a plain board probably, and that means that they could have Power the Dark Side, they could have, well, honestly, a million different things. No Good to Be Dead. It just gets worse and worse and worse. So we didn't even use Target Town there, but didn't need to. Into the Han Blue matchup here. Kind of a reasonable hand. The Chaos of War could be pretty good here. I think I'm going to keep. I like Hyena Bomber up against this matchup. Hyena Bomber could do some work. The thing I'm most worried about here is probably Grogu. Yaddle. All right, we're just going to claim initiative then. And they got Owen. Yeah. Ooh, okay, Sabine's Masterpiece. I think that means I'm going to attack immediately with the Interceptor. I know I could have used Target Town on Owen, but I don't really care about that one, to be honest. I don't really care about that one. I think, yeah, here we'll just do 1 damage to Yaddle. They can go ahead and do their thing. Multiple deploys on turn 1 was pretty good for them, though. Very, very strong. We're going to go Sabine's Masterpiece now, and we'll see what my opponent decides to do here. We may claim initiative. We may not. But now we get the play down, which means that, yeah, we have to claim initiative because my opponent's got the red 5 here, which really stinks, actually. Did not want to see that one at all. Now we have to just trade, which really stinks. Really stinks. Red 5 is like one of the few cards that Han Blue typically plays in their decks as a value option. We're going to go Tarkin Town that Yaddle. And then, I mean, we can go Hyena Bomber. We can go Red 5. You do a million different things. We're just going to go Red 5, deal 1 to the Kiadi, hit for 2. I probably should have done it to the Owen. That was probably just a mistake. I probably should have just finished off the Owen. I was excited about being able to Red 5, but they could have a million different things to answer the Red 5. Yeah, let's just get in for 2 here, and we'll see what my opponent decides to do. They've got the Daughter, huh? The Daughter. Interesting. All right, I'm going to ignore the Owen then. I'm just going to finish off the Kiadi here. They could heal up a little bit. That's fine. We'll deal 1 to the Kiadi. Tactical Heavy Bomber looks pretty good. They could have Fell the Dragon, though, which doesn't actually work because Luke's 2. Rivals Fall. I mean, sometimes people play Rivals Fall. I don't know. I have to be careful here. I think I'm going to just immediately attack with Red 5. Because that's going to kill off the Owen, and that is just going to give us some guaranteed value, and then it can kind of figure out what we want to do with Luke, because they could have a lot of different things here. I'm going to deal 1 to the Daughter here. They're going to get the Force, which is going to be pretty powerful, typically. And Chaos of War looks pretty good, but it's going to hit us for a lot as well. Ooh, there's the Luke. That's what I was kind of afraid of. Yeah, let's just go with aggression here. Yeah, we have to. Man, this stinks. We go ready. We'll deal 4 to for the Luke. We have to get rid of the Luke. Luke was the one card we really did not want to see. Man, that stinks. He said, hello. Hi, my friend. Let's see what they've got here. I mean, we have to deal with the Luke for sure. No question about it. I mean, they could have a million different things. I would have immediately put Luke onto the tactical heavy bomber had I known they did not have Rivals Fall, but I don't know if they have Rivals Fall in their deck or not. And if we do that, we probably are guaranteeing a loss. Chaos of War still looks pretty reasonable here, but yeah, we're gonna have to do some good work with this red 5. Attack will deal 2 to the Luke and then 3 to the daughter. And then they can heal up some damage here. The daughter's actually getting some good value for them. And then we'll get in for 4 and then we'll pass. Wow, that's a lot of Chaos of War. I don't think we need the third one. Oh, that's funny. I don't think we need the third one. Do they have a Rivals Fall? If they have a Rivals Fall, it's going to stink. Okay, they don't. So let's just get in. 2 damage and then 3 damage. Chaos of War looks pretty good here. Now remember, if we play Disabling Fang Fighter and then Chaos of War, it only does 1 damage to us. So as long as we get in 1 more attack with something, I think we'll be okay. I think we'll be totally fine. I could also just play... I could play Cassian from our resources. Chaos of War. Boom. GG. We had a lot of options there. The fact that they did not hit us with the Han meant that we could have gone double Chaos of War. But yeah, it was a really close game there, to be honest. I should have just killed off the Owen earlier on, probably with the Luke's actions. I don't know what I was thinking. The red 5 was really good, and the Luke was really good. Those are the 2 cards that we really didn't want to see, but they did have them. The Kiadi Mundi is part of the reason why Chaos of War is in the deck in the first place. I mean, the card just makes Chaos of War, 4 or 5 damage. It's incredible. I mean, if you think about it, like let's say we were just gonna double Chaos of War, like they claimed initiative. How much damage could we have done? 10 direct damage to the base. That's crazy. Crazy, by the way. Alrighty, into the final game, and about to get pummeled into the ground is what I am expecting here. Got Aiden on the opposing side of the battlefield. We're gonna get controlled, healed, and be very, very sad in this game, is what I am guessing. Let's resource the Hyena Bomber and the Daring Raid. Hyena Bomber could be okay, but I'm gonna start with Mercenary Gunship, and then we're gonna go A-Wing, V-Wing. This is like, if I were to pick a couple of cards to have, A-Wing, V-Wing would be definitely one of them that I'd want to have for sure. Being able to deploy multiple threats up against the player that's playing No Glory and Power of the Dark Side and Overwhelming Barrage is definitely what I want to have. So I'm happy with that. They're going to go Entrenched. Okay, so they're going to Entrenched, which means that if we get Disabling Fang Fighter, I am pretty happy with that. But we may not. Open Fire, probably going to be pretty worthless. I think I'll put the Y-Wing down. Yeah, I mean, they're going to Entrenched, which means that Power of the Dark Side looks pretty bad here now. I mean, they might try to steal the Mercenary Gunship. They're going to resupply. All right, we're going to go V-Wing. I mean, stealing the Mercenary Gunship is kind of a legit play. I think that's pretty sick, not going to lie. I think my opponent does that. That's pretty sweet. We got another V-Wing here, Trench Run. I mean, these cards look pretty good. I am happy to have Trench Run and another V-Wing here. I wouldn't be surprised if my opponent just immediately tries to steal the Mercenary Gunship and tries to go to town with that. That's pretty sick. But we'll see, I guess. If they have like Power of the Dark Sides in their hand, then yeah, they probably do that. Another resupply, huh? Well, I mean, that is a lot of ramping, huh? We're gonna get in for 4, I guess. Take initiative. We'll play the Sabine's Masterpiece. Not going to deploy the V-Wing out because I do want to keep at least one card in my hand or another card in my hand for when they super laser blast. I'm kind of expecting that to happen. My opponent's just ramping though, and they played an entrenched this game. So I'm not sure exactly where their hand is at. The trench run could be a little bit scary up against the command vigilance villainy deck. So I'm kind of looking at like Luke deploy, then trench run. But I'm more leaning towards Luke deploy on the ground. So we'll see. I mean, this Cassian's a great pickup. Cassian is the type of card that I really wanted for this matchup. So the more Cassians, the better. It's going to get some immediate damage in. 7 resources, not the super laser blast turn, though. They do have vigilance, which is going to be able to heal 5 and then kill off a unit. Man, I mean, what is going on here? It's so sad. It's so sad. All right, let's just get in some damage. And then, I mean, my opponent, they're not even healing, man. They're probably just going to go with super laser blast. Probably just going to super laser blast. Nah. Is my disappointment seen enough? I knew this is how this game was gonna go, but you know, it's still gotta play out. Vigilance, resupply. I mean, the fact that they got the resupplies really do make it so that we have to play about super laser blast a lot sooner than we normally would like to. I think if my opponent just drops a super laser blast, it's totally a reasonable play. If they do that, I'm probably deploying Luke and Cassian as the 2 plays here. Takedown. Okay. That's not as scary. We're going to get in for 3 here. And we'll get in for 2. And I think I will just go with a Cassian deploy here. So I could have deployed and what did I get in there? Aggression. I could have deployed V-Wing a lot sooner. I think the aggression's probably pretty weak. I mean, maybe the V-Wing is the resource here. No. We want aggression. We can defeat the entrenched. What am I thinking? Of course we want the aggression. They didn't super laser blast last turn. I would expect them not to super laser blast this turn. Let's just get an attack in for 3. Maybe they're just gonna deploy Iden and then super laser blast just for the big heal. I don't know. That seems a little bit weird. They are gonna do that. Exactly that. Okay. I mean, I am expecting them to not have another super laser blast. Otherwise, I would expect them to have super laser blasted already in the previous turn. So I'm just going to I don't think I could play around too much here. I'm going to go Cassie. I'm going to attack it for 3. I think I'm going to play the Anakin's Interceptor and then pass. And I mean, I'm going to keep my cards and we'll see where we go from there. What do we put in the resource pile? Another A-Wing. I think if they just go super laser blast, instead they go the Iden deploy and then they deploy Iden, it's going to put them in a better position. But they have another super laser. Oh, they have Nebula Ignition. I mean, it is what it is, you know. Sometimes your opponent has Wrath and Wrath and Wrath and Removal and Wrath and Wrath and Wrath and Wrath and probably a Wrath. Probably another Wrath, to be honest. Yeah. Trench Run, I don't even know if we're gonna be able to play, but it's risky against my opponent's deck, you know? That is the problem. Yeah, they got Avenger now. It's kind of stinky. Tactical Heavy Bomber. Let's go Hyena Bomber. And then, yeah, I mean, the game's probably over at this point. I don't really see us winning this game. They attack Tactical Heavy Bomber. So they're choosing to defeat that over the other one for sure. So I think the only way we win is if we hit like -1 resource and the trench run actually goes off. I think that's the only way we win. And it did not. So GG. We had to get lucky there because my opponent has Avenger on board. So we needed to get something pretty good with this trench run. I could have deployed trench run earlier, but I was hoping my opponent didn't have, Wrath and Wrath. I think they drew into it, or they probably had the Nebula Ignition, but they probably drew into the Super Laser Blast based on how they played. I don't know. Maybe they were. I mean, they could go like deploy Iden and Nebula Ignition, right? That would have been a little bit more interesting because then you had the shield on Iden, right? But yeah, I figured that's how the game was gonna go, and it went exactly as I thought. Alrighty, so what did we learn with Luke? I was gonna say Han Red, but Luke Red. Well, the deck was sweet, and being able to play a bunch of space units and get in aggressively is always going to be fun. I think there's a couple of space units in here that I really just enjoy the feel of. Y-Wing, the Red Squadron Y-Wing is one of them. Just the indirect damage is really fun. Disabling Fang Fighter, hitting those upgrades, just like, oh. Hyena Bomber, really nice addition to the deck, to be honest. There's a lot of situations where Hyena Bomber is pretty good. So I think that's a nice addition. Red 5, obviously. Chaos of War in this meta as well has been really nice just because of Dr. Pershing, Kiadi Mundi, the random C3POs out there between Han 4 Yodas, and like all this different stuff with Chaos of War. There's a lot of people drawing cards. Didn't actually get to swing in with a fat tactical heavy bomber. It's a very scary card, could definitely end the game, which is why we have it in the deck, but people were too scared of it, which rightfully so. So it's a fun list, definitely one worth diving into if you want to bring some space stratagems to your local showdowns or whatever. If you're going to do it, it's a pretty budget friendly list as far as I remember. Like all these are pretty budget friendly. The cards that might be a little bit less so are like Sabine's Masterpiece. It might be a little bit on the more expensive end, and of course Aggression is up there, but you can definitely just omit Aggression and just play something else instead, and your list is pretty fun as well. So definitely one of those lists that always come back to. These all space lists are just fun to play, fun to jam some games and get some wins. So thanks for watching, hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll see you all for the next one.